Hi, I'm Jim Jubak. For this week's quick pick for Jubak Asset Management, this week's quick pick video is Autoliv, or Live, depending on what part of Scandinavia you're from. This is an auto safety equipment maker. They make everything from seatbelts to airbags to increasingly technology involving driver assistance, because they also make steering wheels, and lane keep, all those things. They have about a 45% global share of the auto safety equipment market. They sell to everybody. What's most interesting to me about the company, well, three things currently that may bring it to the top of the list. One is they just announced earnings on the 25th of April, and they announced $1.58 a share, which beat by about 18%. Last year's earnings were 90 cents, so 158 versus 90. So you're talking about 70, 80% increase in earnings year over year. Second thing that's really interesting to me is I'm looking for a company that'll let me play global industry and the global auto industry, and especially the rise of China as China goes up market. And one of the things that's interesting to me is that this company has about 22% of its revenue come from China, about a 40% market share in China. That's less than its global market share, which means there's some just on an average, there's some room to grow. But one of the things that's interesting is that as China's exports go up market and they move from simply domestic vehicles to exporting vehicles, the amount of safety equipment purchased from Autoliv as well as other makers goes up. So that, for example, currently about Autoliv sells about 2 to 3 auto products to every Chinese manufacturer for a car made for domestic use. That goes from two to 3 to 4 to 5 for cars for export market. The demand for increased safety in vehicles for the export market is one of the things that's driving the global market, the global auto market, but also just as the rise of China goes, so too, I think you can see this broad-based increase in Autoliv. Right now, Morningstar calls this stock fairly valued. I'd say that's a little understated. Companies saying, well, the price to sales on this stock is less than 1 at 0.97. The PE on a trailing 12-month earnings is 19.17, so roughly market. Forward earnings goes down to 13, so you're looking at a value stock. This company pays a pretty decent dividend, 2.1% on dividend yield. But if you put in the buybacks, you get a buyback yield of 4.7. Your total yield is up to about 6.9, pretty good. I used to own this stock, sold it down when their debt seemed to be getting out of control and their sales growth was falling. Right now, what's important to me, and the reason I'm going to add it back into the 50 stock portfolio on all those global China things, is that their cash flow, free cash flow, is rising even as they expand by adding capital spending in China, India, Vietnam, so that they added 171 million in extra cash flow last year. So that was free cash flow. Total debt is grew a little bit because they are doing all this capital spending, but it's still only about 2.6 billion, and the leverage ratio has actually fallen. So all those things make me say I would like to own this going forward. The last thing to say going forward is that they showed a pretty nice increase in operating margin in the most recent quarter to 7.4% from 5.17. But they're also looking at trying to drive that operating margin up to 10%. So that's the kind of thing you look for when you're looking for growth in your portfolio from a stock that's priced at value levels. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Um, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. That way you get notification when we do our next one. We're trying to do about 3 a week. You can get more of my stuff, free stuff, on my free site, jubakpicks.com. That's got 3 portfolios, including the long-term portfolio that I'm going to re-add Autoliv to. Um, and then there's my paid site, which is jubakassetmanagement.com. That's got those 3 portfolios, 12 to 18 month dividend and 5-year or longer, plus portfolios for ETFs and volatility and really long-term plays. You find links to all those down below. And also down below, you'll find a link to my new Substack, which is also free. In September 2023, I moved to Italy. It's my wife and I's long-term dream to move to Italy with the kids out of the house. Why not? So we started a Substack, which is entitled "We Moved to Italy." Subscribe. It's free. You follow our adventures. The last one is all about the Festival of San Marco, and where restaurants start to serve risi bisi, which is a rice and spring peas dish that goes back to 925 and first served to the Doges. And now you can have it too, as long as you can find it, which is not that easy. Anyway, that's fun, and you find links to that down below. So thanks very much for watching.